We'll call our meeting to order. It's been requested that we introduce ourselves and
Are your mics on?
The mics are not working.
Okay. It's been requested that we'll speak loud, or you can move up front if you can't hear well. It's been requested that we introduce ourselves in the municipalities that we represent, so I think we might do that.
Dana Snowman, Alton.
Ralph Leonard, Old Town.
Peter Dufour, Old Town.
Laura Sanborn, Alton.
John Banks, Penobscot Nation.
Charlie Heinen, Alton.
We have three representatives of the committee missing this evening. Two are from Old Town. Actually, all three are from Old Town. And we may see one shortly. Two are out on illness. They notified me they couldn't make it. So. Okay. We'll have approval going along with the agenda. We'll have approval of the minutes of the last meeting on December 1st. Any questions of the minutes? Yeah.
I'd like to propose an amendment to the minutes.
Okay.
I had a chance to listen to the to an audio recording of the minutes,
Okay.
and there was a statement made by Mr. Don Maha that I'd like to have placed in the minutes for that meeting. Don, when asked about the status of the project with the university, the pipeline project, Don stated that at this time it's just an idea, it's not a project. That's pretty much a direct quote, and I would like for that statement to be in the minutes.
Just trying to find out where that line is and where it was in here. You want to point it out in a minute where it came up?
It came
Status
up
of
at
pipeline under the number 3?
It came up at the very end of the meeting, at that session, that discussion. Oh, yeah, right.
Under item 3, can you point out where that?
It was
Should
right
be
at
inserted.
the end, at the end of the discussion, when, Casella was asked what the status of the project was, and, several folks were asking different ways to try to get some more information about the status of the project.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mr. Maha stated that it's just an idea, it's not a project. Those are his exact words. And I'd like for our minutes to reflect that statement.
Is that agreeable to the rest of the members? So.
I don't recall that.
I don't either.
What was it?
It's in, I listened to
in
the
connection
audio.
to? Well, yeah, I
And it's
mean,
in
I'm
there.
not saying it didn't say it, but what was it in connection to? I don't understand the report.
The gas pipe, the gas line.
Yeah, well,
Don,
he said it's just
Mr.
an
Maha
idea.
was pressed by this committee to give us information about the status of that project. And that was his response at the end of that discussion.
I don't recall it either, but where did you listen to the audio? And what audio?
There was somebody from the audience that taped that session, and I listened to it.
Okay.
And if you don't believe me, don't put it in there. Go and listen to the tape yourself, and you will hear it.
Okay. Yeah, Dawn, would you like to address that?
I would. Don Mahar, Casella Waste Systems. At the beginning of the item on this topic, Mr. Dufour, you asked me to give a status report on the Maine pipeline project, and my response was there was no change with the status of the project as no agreement yet had been reached, and that was the case at that time. Later on in the discussion, a member of the audience asked about the negotiations with the university, what the holdup was, whether we were making progress or not, and I said, check the audio on this. I believe it will confirm that. I said, Those negotiations are confidential, and I'm not going to talk about them. I then said at the end of my remarks, because an agreement has not yet been signed, until an agreement has been signed, it is in fact a concept and not a project. That is a correct statement.
Well, that's a problem putting it in there, but this isn't gonna solve anything to do with it.
Well, you know, I'm really tired of this committee sitting here like a goddamn bunch of mushrooms, fed bullshit and lies by this guys, and we have a statutory authority to keep these people informed of what's going on out there, and we're constantly lied to. Now, we may not be able to do anything about it, but I want it in the damn record.
Okay,
Mr. Banks, you were not lied to. You apparently did not hear my response.
I listened to the tape, Don.
Listen to the whole thing.
You're a goddamn
Put it in
liar.
verbatim. You don't know what you're
Fucking
talking
liar.
about. Thank you.
yeah. Minor discussion.
Could I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
This audio tape is posted online, and anyone who'd like to listen to it, I'll be happy to give them the way to find it.
Okay.
To move things along,
Go
I
ahead.
make a motion that we include it in our minutes.
Okay.
You know, Mr. Maher said that, you know, clarified the quote even more, so, you know, I have no problem with it.
Okay.
Get you some discussion on it.
Okay, I'm agreeable to that. If we put it in as just an idea and a concept at this time.
Concept, yeah, not a
Let's
project.
use the concept then. Okay.
Did I understand that Don agreed or didn't agree with that comment? You
Don-
clarify that, Don?
Don,
Well, I guess what I would request is that not parts of my remarks be taken out of context. If we're going to go back to the audio tape, put in verbatim the entire discussion on the topic, and not cherry pick.
Okay. If we use the word concept, Don, as you referred to in that, at this point, the problem is I can't find where Mr. Banks found where it fit in with the notes that we had, where it came up. It's not even...
Can we hold off on it and just look at the tape?
Okay,
and
let's
then
do
put it-
that. Let somebody...
And it may be possible to paraphrase, but there was quite a bit more discussion on the topic than simply had an agreement been signed or not.
Correct.
And again, my recollection is one thing that was very clear is that members of the audience asked about details of the negotiations, and I was very clear that those were confidential and we were not going to talk about them.
Yeah. No, that was my understanding, you know.
Sure.
The preaching to the choir.
Correct.
Go
Are you
ahead.
going to call for a vote on that?
Well, I think the recommendation now is to go back to the minutes and we'll make the amendment. Correction, Dana, just
Fine.
you want to vote on that?
There was no second, so it would fail, right?
Okay, I guess there wasn't a second.
Okay.
I'd have, for the record, I'd have difficulty in agreeing with a member of this committee's interpretation of what was said. When the person who said it is here and didn't agree with it,
Yeah.
unless I heard the tape.
Unless I-
How can I do that?
Right, just look at the tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the audio is publicly available.
Right, okay.
And you know, we have it in here. Don Maha said there is no change with the status of the project as no agreement has been reached, so.
Yeah, and that's what I think Don just presented to us,
Yeah.
and that was my understanding, is that I feel kind of bad about Mr. Banks' position on this, but I gotta tell you that we do a lot. There's a lot of material floating around on this. I receive a great deal of material. I disseminate most of it to committee members, not all of it. I do get disturbed at times too, that some of it doesn't get addressed. And we come to the meetings, and I know Mr. Banks, again, I get into this, but I provided him with information that on different occasions, when he's asked for information or questioned somebody in the audience, that we don't have this available. And some of it actually was, the most recent one was part of the original application. And I provided them with all that material, and I guess it was just died right there. But anyway, let's move on with the rest of it. We're gonna defer the approval of meetings until we get that amendment. I'll get that corrected. Is that the committee's wishes? Yeah, okay. We'll go on the record with that. And I'd ask if Charlie, if you could go back to that tape and see what the tape is.
May not be for a couple of weeks.
That's okay. What I think we're going to do, we're going to skip ahead on the agenda a little bit here. We've got on the agenda the approval of bylaws. I don't think we're going to be approving the bylaws. We're going to be discussing bylaws because we don't have a majority of the committee here now remaining. So, yes, sir.
Are there any rules about how many committee members constitutes a quorum?
That's what we're trying to make. We're going to try to address.
So there aren't any rules. So you folks are a quorum now.
We've got 4 out of 7. Yeah.
4
Out of 7?
4 out of 8. 8, that's right, 5 and 7. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go home? We can adjourn this meeting if you wish.
I just want to know what your rules are.
I'm not going to go through too much of it. Did you just hear me say that on the agenda we're going to come up with making rule making?
Good.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you brought it up at 3 or 4 meetings. And, we don't come here just to be shot at. And the sooner you realize that, the better we're going to be. And if these were productive conversations, I'd definitely get engaged with you. But I don't have to recognize you. This committee is made up of Old Town, Alton, and Penobscot Nation. Okay? And this is our constituency. We went around the table, introduced ourselves as you requested, and we're giving you the liberty to come before us and bring information to us to wish. But if it's going to be brought up in a manner that is, disregards or disrespectful, then I don't think we need to address it. I'm going to move along with the agenda. The next item was bylaws, but I think if we have people here from the University of Maine to address the gas agreement. And Stu Harvey's here, and I'd like to introduce him now, and if he would give us a summary of what that program is.
I like to speak up on the microphone, but that's never a problem for me. I'm Stuart Harvey. I'm Associate Director of Facilities Management at the University of Maine, and have been involved in the negotiations and development of this agreement with Casella. Honestly, I appreciate the opportunity, the invitation to come before the committee and give information to the committee and to the members of the audience on the project that the university has to burn landfill gas at the University of Maine steam plant. I didn't come with a prepared statement. I didn't really know, I guess, what to expect from the committee. So I came prepared to answer any questions that may exist. I will say that the University of Maine and Casella do have an agreement now that was signed late in December to provide the University of Maine with landfill gas to burn at the central steam plant. And there's a lot to it. It's a very thick document. I know some folks in the audience have copies of it. I don't know if the committee has ever received or requested a copy of that agreement. But I'm prepared to answer questions from the committee and from the members of the audience about that agreement and about the project that the university proposes at the steam plant. So
we don't have a copy, and we appreciate it if you could have them sent to the committee.
Yes.
The city probably has one. Charlie, does the city have one now? Or they don't need it. So
Can you
they need the
supply,
distribution.
can you supply one paper copy and electronically?
yeah, I don't see why not.
I can If I get it electronically, I can submit it all to you electronically.
Okay.
How
Yeah.
many pages do you talk?
It's
about?
100 plus.
Yeah.
Not always easy to
Oh,
read
you
on
do it another
a
way?
computer.
Yeah.
I know I'm fairly computer literate, and I couldn't read that document on a computer.
Yeah.
So it's
If you could give us a couple of hard-bound.
Yeah, that's no
copies,
problem.
Bring them here and we'll distribute them, certainly.
yeah, that's certainly no problem at all.
We could do it for each town, actually. if we don't.
I mean, I'm willing to provide whatever you requested as far as copies go.
Well, we might want to get one for each committee member.
Yeah.
Who represents you. Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
There's 8 of us.
And then, if after you have a chance to read
Yeah.
that document through, I can come back at the next committee meeting and be prepared to answer deeper questions on.
But I think, but tonight we have some questions for you.
Yes,
too. So if
certainly.
you can, if you could just highlight it, that's your ability.
Yes.
We'll open it up for questions to the committee as well as the audience.
Okay. The agreement is for a 20-year term. It's for up to the delivery of up to 485,000 decatherms of landfill gas, whatever, either up to 485,000 decatherms of landfill gas or the landfill gas that's available from the landfill. Let me just look through my notes a little bit. From the university's perspective, it provides some major benefits. I'll go through 6 of them.
Okay.
Creates a significant regional reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. It provides a reliable energy source for the university from the existing landfill capacity over the 20-year contract term. It generates savings that we've conservatively estimated at between $11 and $22 million over the life of the 20-year agreement. Provides us with price stability over that 20-year term, and there's some details in the agreement which identify and highlight how that price stability is achieved. And it also continues what we consider to be a significant improvement made to date in the air emissions from the University of Maine, from the steam plant. So the university will take delivery of the landfill gas at a point right outside of the steam plant, what's identified as the delivery point in the agreement. As a part of the agreement, Casella will give the university $500,000 towards the renovation or retrofitting of our heating plant to burn landfill gas. And the university intends for the landfill gas to be its primary fuel. Right now, the university is in the middle of a project that isn't or wasn't planned or is in the works before the landfill gas agreement was signed, and we're putting a new boiler in the heating plant. We're putting in what we're calling boiler number 8 in replacement of our old boilers 3 and 4, and that boiler will burn natural gas and landfill gas.
Yeah.
So that's and the university expects, and I know that some have read this in the paper, expects that will potentially reduce the UMaine's carbon footprint by approximately 30,000 metric tons annually. So those are the highlights. Obviously, it's a very long document, and there's a lot of words in between, for 100 pages. But
what are you personally burning now? Are you on natural gas or bunker C's?
the university burns both. The university right now burns about 2/3 natural gas and 1/3 bunker C number 6 fuel oil. Got about 20,000 barrels of number 6 fuel oil, which is about a little over 100,000 decatherms, and then we burn about 360,000 decatherms of natural gas. Natural gas, as many people will understand, is very reasonably priced right now.
Right. Yep. Well,
Is there anything in your agreement that the university is involved with getting the gas to that, is that all Casella's responsibility?
Yeah, the university takes delivery of the landfill gas
At
adjacent
site.
to the heating plant, and it's not
So that's
responsible.
not part of the agreement at all, getting it there.
It does define that the pipeline
be brought
exists,
there.
and that Casella is or the seller, however it's described in the document, is responsible for the construction, maintenance, operation of that pipeline.
Is there any timetable?
There are some timetables in the document, yes. Yeah, there's quite a few timetables, and they're dispersed throughout the document depending on what particular situation is described. I don't have all of those memorized, to be honest with you, but there's a year timetable in which we're working on. There's an expectation, I think, in some of the discussions that the landfill gas might be available to the plant, no later than September, October of 2012.
Probably Casella needs to have some of this, because we're going to have
I don't want to
separate-
get, yeah, I don't want to.
We're going to have a separation here, but we've got Stu there, we'll stick with it. I'll throw it at you, but if you think Don needs to answer it after.
Yeah.
Has the routing been determined on the pipeline to get there?
Yeah, that's.
Don, that's
Yeah.
a Don question. Okay.
He can certainly answer it now if you'd like, or we can wait until.
Well, if we want to go around the committee and the audience with you, and
Okay.
what's left over, we'll go hit Don with that. Any questions? More questions from the board?
Is the flexibility in that start date?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, there are a lot of hoops that need to be jumped through between now and that time, and there are dates set that need to be met for certain milestones in the project, and I don't have those marked out for me exactly right in front, so I could bring them to you. But when you get a copy of the document and you've got an ability to read it, then we can go down through those maybe at the next committee meeting.
Is there a should you encounter some major obstacle? Is there an exiting clause in here for both parties to get out of this at some point?
Yeah, there are several exit opportunities along the way. Yes, I would say yes, more than one. Yeah, there are actually inside of this document there are conditions precedent that have to be met actually before the pipeline can even start construction.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's in section 6 of the document.
Why don't we open it up to the audience? I know we've had numerous questions, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
And we'll allow the audience to ask questions. We've got a lot from that area in attendance tonight. So if anybody in the audience would like to ask Mr. Harvey any questions regarding that? Yes, go ahead.
Cheryl Spencer from Old Town.
Hi, Cheryl.
My question is, will the university be cleaning the gas on site, or will the cleaning of the gas be done before it enters the pipeline?
Yeah, that's a good question. The university is not responsible for cleaning the gas.
Ed?
Yeah,
Mr. Zed.
Ed Spencer, West Old Town. I think we've
Yes.
conversed by email. I think it's a good idea, obviously, to try to reduce greenhouse gas footprint. I'm kind of curious. It seems like maybe you could give us a brief description of. It seems like there's a kind of a transition been going on for a while from the bunker C, just next to crude oil,
Yes.
to natural gas, and how long have you been doing the natural gas?
Yeah, the university has been transitioning to natural gas, and I would say since 03 to maybe the 05 period, we were still burning significant amounts of number 6 fuel oil, almost all number 6 fuel oil. And that had a lot to do with the fact that although natural gas was available to the campus, the price of it was just it was cheaper for the university to build burner number 6.
Okay, so like 03 or 05, you put in a natural gas boiler then?
No, we had natural gas from 2001
Okay.
timeframe. When the first pipeline was brought down College Avenue, we retrofitted boiler number 7 to burn both natural gas and number 6 fuel oil. They'd already burned number 6 fuel oil, but we retrofitted it to burn natural gas.
So how many boilers do you have right now that burn natural gas?
Right now, we have just boiler number 7, 60,000, 64,000 pounds an hour capacity.
I'll have to work on my conversions.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry. That's the only one I only.
This one,
So in the press,
Name?
there've been,
Name?
oh, Mary Dolan, I live on Easy Street. In the press, there's been, cited that this will reduce the carbon footprint of the university by 40%, save up to $20 million. But I was just wondering, how is that analysis done? And in particular, I guess my question is it like a life cycle analysis? That is, do you consider the entire cost? Or is it just, well, how is it done?
Yeah.
And are the numbers available for other people to look at?
Yeah, there are two parts to your question. One about the carbon footprint and one about the cost savings analysis. And the cost saving analysis is something that the university did during the negotiations to obviously to sort of convince itself that this was a reasonable deal for the University of Maine. And so members of our team, we had members of our team, one member of our team is someone who does that for a living. And we did an analysis of the future use and costs of natural gas, and did what we think is a pretty conservative analysis of the potential savings for the university. So, I mean, if you want a copy of that, certainly I would make a request to the University of Maine to take a look at that. As far as the carbon footprint goes, some background: the University of Maine is a signatory on the American College and University President's Climate Commitment, and as a part of that, we have a climate action plan, and that climate action plan is on that website. And from that website, you can go to the Clean Air, Cool Planet website that has a campus carbon calculator, which is used to calculate your carbon footprint. And the 30,000 metric tons, for example, is just simply the multiplication of the amount of fuel we used in calendar year 09 at the heating plant, which was the most recent year when that calculation was done, times one of those factors, or the two factors, because we were burning number 6 fuel oil and natural gas, in that Clean Air, Cool Planet campus carbon calculator. So
it doesn't, for example, take into account like the full cycle, the trucks that bring the trash, the out-of-state waste, so it's going at least to the Maine border and beyond, because there's a lot of stuff that goes there that's out of state.
mm-hmm.
So it doesn't take that into account. So it's just kind of, it's this calculator. So it's really not like a life cycle analysis. It's just
no.
a very closed picture.
It's the same picture that's used to calculate our carbon footprint for all the fuels that we use. I guess that's what I would say.
Which, as I say, doesn't take into account the cost, the energy cost of bringing this stuff here.
No. No.
Maybe you can clarify this a little better, but I think what you're going at, Ms. Dolan, is they are not taking all of those factors into consideration, but that factor taken into consideration right now is going to the landfill and being flared into the atmosphere, correct? So what your calculations are based on, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know much about this, I'm just shooting it dark here, is based on from what's being flared off correct? What's coming out of the landfill.
Our,
And based, and comparable to your,
I thought
you
you said
get
his
your oil,
calculations were
your
based on the university.
yeah, your bunker C.
yeah,
gas.
it's based on the replacement of the fuels that are burned at the heating plant right now. So to us, I mean, to the standard that we're using, it's an equivalent analysis. Now, you know, there certainly could be other factors that could be added into all of those fuels.
So I'm specifically addressing the issue of whether the composition of the landfill is going to change at all to generate, I mean, it's kind of turning into a gas production facility, so that a lot of the bad stuff, you know, the organic stuff that's going to decompose to give methane, and the increased truck traffic to bring more stuff here, to produce more stuff to meet the contract agreements. So, I mean, that's what I mean by taking into account the full carbon footprint, you know, rather than just, you know, an exchange of fuel, because it's really not that simple. I had a question too about the, you know, is there the cost to the university? Because I saw something that said there was something about the Casella giving the university $500,000 towards the conversion of
The heating plant.
the boiler.
Yeah.
What would the total cost of that be? I mean, is it $500,000? Is that the total cost, or is the university going to have to pay some of that conversion factor?
Right now, we have an engineering analysis that puts the cost of modifications to the steam plant in the $500,000 range. Yeah, that's why we ended up negotiating that number with.
And I do want to say that I share Mr. Banks' frustration, because we did have this meeting on December 1st. I had requested that somebody from the university come and address the issue, present things sort of before the fact. And, you know, from December 1st to December 21st, you know, 3 weeks, you know, as you said, a very thick document, 100 pages. I mean, I feel that, you know, everybody wasn't really forthcoming about what was going on. And since this is the only, I mean, this committee has a statutory responsibility to provide information to the public about things that are in the works, contracts and things like that. So I'm extremely frustrated at the fact that December 1st, though nothing's happening, and then 3 weeks later, or sometime afterwards, we find out that 3 weeks later, this, you know, big document had been signed. So, you know, transparency is an important aspect of this whole thing, and that's something that has been a frustration to me at many, many stages of, you know, before the pipeline, many aspects of the landfill too. So the lack of transparency, I think, is just awful.
I'd like
There's
to
no way for the
I'd like to
public
address that. I received your email on that, and I made inquiries. They were negotiating a contract, and I think we mentioned that at the December 1st meeting, that information was not available. We knew they were in negotiations, so we stated that fact. You can't negotiate a contract in public, the two parties involved. They've got a 100 and some odd page document. They certainly weren't going to bring the first three chapters to us. And I think that I felt satisfied, maybe I was wrong in feeling that way, that we were not going to get much information. I knew that Casella was going to be here, and we got that exact response, is we're in negotiations and nothing has been settled. And, you know, it would be like negotiating a union contract in the public eye, and you can't do that. So we had to wait till there was some concrete information. We have it now. We have Mr. Harvey here from the University of Maine going over it. We'll get the documents, we'll read them over, we'll bring it up again. He's already acknowledged he's willing to come back after we see these documents. And it's my understanding that some have been distributed in the public. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's my understanding that, yes,
okay,
that there have been requests of the University of Maine of the document, and we've passed
you
it.
provided.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to address it. Yeah. Go ahead, John.
State law also exempts, in other words, negotiations from freedom of access. In other words, we use it for union negotiations, or if we're into negotiations for contracts that were open to public, would affect the results of the negotiations. In other words, the law does allow that.
between two public entities.
Yes. Well, it's not, Casella is not a public entity,
Who's the gas belong to?
but Casella is the transporter.
Who's the gas belong
there.
to?
Belongs to Casella,
Casella.
the operating
Landfill
services.
belongs to
unit.
state.
Yeah.
Peter, as I understand it, the resolve for this committee as it was first constituted did indicate that we would review items just like this, contracts and arrangements and operating specifications. I don't remember it saying that it would be before they were originated or that they would come up with. I think we're fulfilling our duty under the resolve to make this information public. We certainly appreciate all the cooperation we're getting from the parties involved. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah. I'm in agreement with that. As a matter of fact, I think we may be addressing some legislation that may address that. As you recall, when we asked the state to interpret our responsibility by the state resolve, it says may review contracts and so forth, and the commissioner came back and said, well, it doesn't say you will, but you've underlined that on numerous occasions. I have a couple other documents right here. There was one recently at this last public hearing that was held actually this morning, I guess, that the DEP's taken an interpretation that may is in fact will, on some other issues. It's not reviewing documents. But anyway, we need to clarify that. And I think,
But there's no time frame involved. I mean, basically, you can't have the chicken before the egg.
No.
Maybe you can, but you've got to have something to review. And this is it.
That's right. That's right. That's correct. And I think that's where we're going.
Well, the other party involved here is the owner of the landfill, which is the state. And I presume that Casella, as an agent for the state, consulted with them before they entered into any of these negotiations. Now, if they didn't, that would be for the state to answer, I would say.
Go ahead, sir.
Bob Vinjenic from Bennett Road. I agree with the lady about the transparency situation. I'm not against the pipeline or anything, but it's going to go past my house. And when were we going to be informed, or it was going to be suggested to us that this might happen? We never heard that from anybody, or contacted by anybody, until I got a phone call today from Mrs. Sanborn. I got no notice, no nothing. And now we find out there's an agreement. It's going to go right past our house, within 100 feet of my living room. That concerns me that we weren't involved, at least notified of that. That's a big problem, my opinion about the whole process.
You want to address how you found that out? You want to address it?
How did I find it out? I saw the proposed route in a campus newspaper.
Okay, I wasn't aware of it. First time I've been aware of it.
Could everyone please speak up?
Yeah.
It is one of the exhibits
It is
in the document, a proposed route.
Yeah. Any more questions of Mr. Harvey from the audience? Yeah, sir.
Tim Austin, Gilman Falls Avenue. Can I get a copy of that as well?
Sure.
How do we go about doing that?
Make a request.
Probably,
Make
if you made some
emails?
available here, yeah, why don't you go ahead? Okay, Tim Colster.
Yeah, then I'm going to provide copies of that.
Foster.
When can we get those?
That won't take long.
Actually.
Yeah, I'm not going to be in tomorrow very long, but certainly next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I have had a chance to look. My name's Paul Schrader. I live in Orono.
Hi, Paul.
I have had a chance to look at this. There's a section in this that requires the beginning of negotiation on a Phase 2 project. Could you fill us in on what the Phase 2 project is? Pretty much as we do or don't know about it?
Well, or I do or don't know. It's a potential combined heat and power project, but that's all I truthfully know. We haven't started negotiations with Casella on that particular subject.
You want to run that by one more time, just so I'm
Yeah, there's a section in the document that. Give me a second. I can that says the University of Maine may elect to participate in a subsequent project in which the seller proposes to build a combined heat and power plant that would burn substantially all of the landfill gas produced at the landfill to generate steam and electricity for sale, called Phase 2. UM and seller will begin good faith negotiations for a Phase 2 project upon the execution of this agreement. The parties acknowledge that siting the CHP shall be subject to agreement among seller, UM, and the city. So.
Any other questions?
Excuse me. You don't have any idea where that's going to be located or how it ties into this pipeline or anything like that?
No.
I just have a couple more clarifications. You've been involved in this since the beginning of these negotiations.
Pretty near the beginning.
In it's been reported in the press the negotiations started in 2008. In the Bangor Daily News of January 30th, it quoted Mr. Mahar as saying, the school approached Casella about the possibility of using the landfill gas in 2008 after UMaine President Robert Kennedy heard there was a similar operation at University of New Hampshire. In a fact sheet that was distributed by the university on that topic, the university said in late 2008, Casella Waste System approached UMaine regarding a prospective 20-year arrangement for supplying landfill gas to the university's steam plant. Could you clarify as to whether the university approached Casella or Casella approached the university?
I can't. No.
Does that make a difference?
I don't. Depending on who the party was, it's hard to tell. One group may assume it started it, and the other group may assume they started it. I don't know back that far, Paul.
Okay, I'll respond to you. It might not make a difference to you, but it makes a difference to me, and it's the kind of question that we're allowed to ask as members of the public. I was curious whether you were present. There was an Old Town City Council special meeting that was held at the Innovation Center at the university in August of 2009. Were you part of that meeting?
Not to my knowledge.
Thanks.
Ed, did you have a question? I thought your hand was up.
No, let's keep moving.
Okay. Any other questions of Mr. Howard? Okay, Stu, if you could hang just for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And Dawn, if you'd be willing to hold on. I guess the concern now for you, Dawn, is getting the gas to the university, what Casella's position is in that phase of the
Well, it's our obligation under the agreement to get the gas to the university.
Okay.
That's our part of the obligation going forward.
Go ahead.
Who is the contact person at Casella with the university on this? Or what division of Casella is doing that? Are you doing the negotiating? Brian
There were a
Oliver?
number of people on Casella's side that were and will be part of this process.
Is it fair to ask, who was involved? So if we do have questions?
I would direct questions through me.
Okay.
Ralph, go ahead.
Do you have right away set up, or do you have to use the state agency to acquire it right away to put the pipeline in?
There is a map in the agreement that indicates 2 proposed routes proposed for the purpose of the agreement. There is no final pipeline route yet. We will be
As you go through
exploring
that process, John, what would you have to do? Would you have to write eminent domain, for example? Would you need that? If so, does the state have to proceed with that?
Rights of way have to be evaluated. Environmental conditions along various pipeline routes have to be evaluated. It's a fairly involved and lengthy
I would think
process.
it would be.
And whether or not either of the two routes that is in that map will ultimately be the final route or something else is yet to be determined.
Okay, I guess my question was, would the state be proceeding with that, or would you have, are you on your own to do that?
This is our obligation under the agreement, not the state. The state is not a party to the agreement.
And financing it would have to come under the pro forma for the total project.
Finances are one of the steps that is yet to be accomplished.
Before this happens, it's okay? I'm sorry. Will permits from the city of Old Town and the town of Orono have to be obtained before this can proceed?
Yes, there are state permits and local permits that all have to be obtained before construction can begin.
And will property owners, if you're using the state's right of way or the town's right of way, will the property owners be notified of construction happening on their property, or are you that far into it?
We're a long way from that, but certainly property owners would have to be identified and notified simply to finalize the pipeline route.
Don, some real basic questions that the public may be interested in knowing about, and I understand that all of these details are not ironed out yet. Number one, this pipeline will be underground.
That's correct.
Okay. Number two, generally speaking, I know the engineering hasn't been done yet, but what is the diameter of that pipeline typically?
You're correct. The pipeline itself has not been designed.
Right. I'm asking. I won't hold you to it.
Okay. Yeah. Don't hold me to it. Thank you very much. The engineers, as part of our team, that are not the pipeline designers, estimate that it's going to be in the 14-inch diameter range.
A 14-inch diameter pipeline.
Yes.
And this will be buried below frost line?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was a basic question. 6 inches is a big difference from 14.
Let me correct that. Whether it will be fully below 5 feet, I'm not sure about that. I don't know the specific depth of the pipeline, but it's a buried pipeline. And
General, natural gas pipelines that are come through the city often are less than 3 feet. They're not all that deep. So obviously it's not.
What's the average diameter of the gas pipelines we have going through now?
Depends upon whether it's a main feeder line or whether it's
So 14 is obviously a high volume line.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know any of this, and I just thought it might be an interesting question, understanding that it isn't final.
Well, and again, this is all part of the design. It would all come out in the application package. But my understanding as a layperson talking to the engineers is that it's 14-inch diameter because this is a low-pressure line. It's a low-pressure pipeline. Whereas natural gas is typically conveyed at higher pressures. And if you go at higher pressure, you can go with a smaller diameter.
Well, yeah, and again, I don't know what I'm talking about either, but I know that the pipeline that comes across the Stud Mill Road,
sure,
in some cases is smaller than that.
Yeah, but what you have to deal with in terms of volume is pressure and flow. Cross-sectional area times feet per second,
traveling 100 miles
pressure,
or more from Sable Island. So,
how many cubic feet of material are you sending over whatever interval of time?
Something I don't believe as a member of the Old Town Planning Board, I'm familiar with site plan reviews. Does a pipeline come under that purview, Charlie?
I think it comes under if it stays within the streets. There is a it's a street, it goes to the city council for their approval. That's the same with the local Bangor National, Bangor Gas. In other words, if they go in the street, they need a street opening, they need a permit for that, which goes to the council. And I don't believe it goes to the planning board.
Okay. Thank you, Don. I know that's just basic stuff, but I thought that would be good to get that out, at least the awareness of it.
Timeline. Do you have a proposed timeline?
As Stuart Harvey indicated, there are a variety of timelines in the agreement, and like him, I don't have them all committed to memory, and it would be difficult to run them off. But we do have a deadline. This is one I can recall of getting all of our permits for the project within 1 year of signing the agreement. So essentially, by the end of this year, which is kind of an aggressive schedule for permitting when you've gone through them. And then again, my recollection, don't hold me to it, delivery of gas within the following year, about 12 months following final permitting.
Now,
Go ahead, Laura.
you'll be crossing streams to get there. How does it?
But there are going to have to be, unavoidably, we got to get on the other side of at least the Stillwater River.
Stillwater River and push our stream.
Yeah.
Not to mention the interstate, they're going to go under that or over it. I'm sure none of that has been engineered yet.
No. There are various ways that can be done, and we're going to explore all of them, and it's going to be, what's feasible, how much does it cost, permitting considerations. So obviously, still a lot of decision.
I do know for the major pipeline out here, they did directional drilling underneath most bodies of water.
Yes.
I don't know if that will apply here or not, but I'm sure you'll tell us.
Yeah, we have some experience in directional drilling, and so that is an option. It's a relatively expensive option to do.
The route that's in the document at this point, we say it's a tentative thing, but
there's actually if you look at, it's a little hard to see, but there are actually two routes on that map.
There are two. Okay.
And then there are some subsets of each of the routes.
Other alternatives.
Yeah.
Could
Differences
they
on
just-
either end.
Could they just, there's quite a few people here, and I looked at the map and I'm clear, because there's, either one of you just give, people a little
Do
idea.
you have a copy of the map in the document right there, Stu? Or what it shows?
Yes.
You did. Oh, if we saw the map.
Yeah, I can explain the both, but again,
Yeah, that would be
That might
great. That would be
I don't think
great.
you got a map big enough to, and it's not designed yet, so.
Don, would you like a?
oh, I can explain it. Having a display would be good, but again, I want everybody to be absolutely clear on this. What I am going to describe is two proposed or possible pipelines. Neither of these may be the final pipeline route that we propose.
We understand.
We understand.
So if we come back with something that's neither of these two, I hope people won't say, but you said it was going to be one of those two.
We'll get it in the record.
Okay.
We probably will say that, but you'll just have to get over it.
The first one that's, I guess, the easiest to describe and perhaps the easiest to build is to go directly east from the landfill to the interstate, get onto the right-of-way of the interstate, and go down the interstate until we get somewhere across from the steam plant. There you have to kind of look at where is the best place to cross the river, site considerations there. And again, various techniques get from one side of the river to the other side. You're there at the steam plant. So you can kind of envision that pretty simply, and you got the interstate, you got the right-of-way, would seem to make a lot of sense. And there has been energy corridor legislation passed that envisions using the interstate right-of-way for just this purpose. But we haven't evaluated that. We haven't talked to anybody at MDOT about it. It's just, hey, here's a way to get from point A to point B. And it's kind of the most direct route. But whether that is going to be in any way feasible, I couldn't tell you right now. The second route is, again, staying in the rights-of-way of roads, but on state and local roads. And it would be to get to Route 43, and there's a variety of ways that you can get there. You can go straight across and down, you can do a diagonal, you can cut across open land, various ways, but get as really as quickly and easily as you can to Route 43, go east on 43 to College Avenue, and then College Avenue all the way down.
So is that one of the proposals that's showing up, that you would go down the interstate, cross the interstate at 43?
Yes.
Across the river stream and the river to College Avenue?
College Avenue and then
University,
all the way
to
south.
the woods. Okay. So that's
But you would stay in the right of way of College Avenue the whole way
okay. Yeah.
down to the steep line. Now, can one look at a map and find other ways to get from point A to point B? No question.
Well, there isn't currently anything under consideration for this pipeline to carry anything other than the methane gas, landfill gas?
Not at this time, no.
No. I mean, I can't imagine what else there would be, but that might be a concern. Leachate.
I don't know.
Take it to where?
I don't know. If they're gonna, well, phase 2, it might work into, using the treatment plant at the mill.
It would be a separate line from the same.
Right, a
section,
separate
is what you're
line.
saying. Ralph, you had a question?
I wondered if you have capacity enough to do whatever phase 2 that was mentioned, if that came into play, or would that be another?
As Stuart said, phase 2 is almost a placeholder in the agreement that we are going to talk about that would use landfill gas to power a new combined heat and power facility, location to be determined, that would meet both the heating and the electricity needs of the campus, and perhaps the industrial park in Old Town as well. So, and your question, Ralph, did it refer to do we have enough
capacity enough in that pipe to handle both?
Well, again, the agreement on phase 1, and this really would apply to phase 2, is that the landfill is going to be providing to the university whatever it is the landfill generates, and that may or may not meet the university's total thermal needs all the time, but it's whatever we provide will be a cost savings to them. And the university, in turn, is only required to take what it needs to meet its thermal needs. And there may be times in which their need is less than what we're generating at the landfill. And the same could be true for this phase 2. There's not necessarily going to be a perfect matchup between the two, but whatever the matchup is, at least as the university and we look at it, is better than how those resources are currently being handled.